Hello, good day everyone. So I really want to take you through this tutorial on how to get started with Git. This is a tutorial for Linux users. If you are using Ubuntu, so this tutorial will be so great for you. All right, so I want you guys to understand how to learn how to use Git for Linux users. So the first thing I will want you guys to know is you need to create an account with Git, and I want you to visit this link in order to create an account with Git. So once you visit this link to creating an account, you're gonna have this pop up for you. Alright, so the next thing you will want to do is to enter your username, enter your email, enter your password, and after doing all of that, you click on sign up for GitHub. Me, I'm just gonna sign in since I have an account with Git. So yeah. So the next thing after creating an account is for you to create your first repository. So before I move on, let me just explain to you what a repository is all about. So a repository is basically a container that contains your project, your files, every information required for a particular project which you're trying to push to GitHub, or maybe you're trying to collaborate on a particular project with a particular set of folks all around the world. So you can create a repository whereby you push those works to, and then the person, wherever the person might be, the person is able to have access to those work, and is also able to push to that same repository depending on your commands. If you want to give the person access, and if you don't want to give the person access, definitely if you want the person to push to your repository, then definitely you have to give the person access to your repository. Alright, so we want to be able to create our first repository. So repositories are basically containers that contains your project, your work, everything you want to showcase. Alright, so once you click on GitHub, you're going to have this interface after creating, or maybe something similar to this. Alright, so you go to your topmost right corner, and you're going to see a plus sign over here. You click on the plus sign, and then you click new repository. So after clicking your new repository, you're going to see this interface, and then the next thing you need to do is to add your repository name. Alright, so for the sake of this, I'm going to just be creating a repository. I'm going to call it Titanic classification. Alright, so that's the name of my repository. If you have this, then it means that it's a valid repository name. So you can add some description. I just want to add, okay, predicting survival of people. Alright, so the next thing after adding some description to what your project is all about, you can just go ahead to either click on public or private. Now if you're clicking on public, you're basically trying to say that this project is a repository that that is made public to people. Anyone that comes to your GitHub page gets to see the project, and the person can have access to the repository. The person can commit if you give the person access to that repository. So we are basically trying to say it's public because anybody that comes to your repository can see it. Now if you click on private, if you check in this box for private, it means that anybody that you give access to can actually see it, not just anyone. If I come to your GitHub page, I won't be able to see this repository because it's not public and you didn't give me access. But if you give me access, I'll be able to see the repository. So by default it should be public. Alright, the next thing you want to do is to initialize this repository with a README. So once you click on this, you're gonna have your README attached to your repository. Then you have the git ignore. Then if you want to add your git ignore, if you want to add license to your work, you can add any of this. Now I want to talk about this README. This README is basically more or less like an explanation to what your project is all about. It goes beyond just the description. Alright, so for example, if you're working on a project and I'm checking out your GitHub page, if I want to understand what your repository is all about, the first thing I want to check is your README. So once I go to your README and I look into the content of your README, I have an overview of what your project is all about. So once you've initialized this with a README, then you can click creating repository. This is just the default way of creating repositories. So once you have that, you should have an interface like this. So the name of your repository here, you have just an overview here, like the description, and then you have your readme. So in your readme, by default, you always have your repository name and the description at the first time you create it. Do you understand? So you can decide to add more content to it. For example, I want to say, oh, this, what's wrong with your keyboard? Alright, so this is my first repository. Alright, so you can go ahead, add some commit reasons. Okay, commit, and then you can commit directly to master branch, or you commit to a new branch you're trying to create. But because we've not created a new branch, definitely we should be committing to master branch. So you click on commit changes. So once you commit changes, it's everything that you've just done gets appended. It's now corrected on your GitHub. So you can see this is what I just added, and so anybody that comes to my repository gets to know that, oh, this is all what my project is all about. So I want to believe you guys understand. Now the thing, if the statement of fact is we want to go beyond just creating repositories. Now let us see how we can actually push to GitHub. So the first thing I want you to do is to click on this green button over here. So I want you to copy this guy. So once you click on this, you've copied it already. So the next thing I want you to do is now to move on to your desktop. And create a folder. So create a folder. Let's create a folder and call it Titanic. So Titanic. Alright, so have a folder over there, so I can go into the folder. So this is where I want my project from GitHub to be. Alright, so I have it at desktop and I have it called Titanic. So the next thing I will do is, okay, now let me move on to my terminal. So once you click on your terminal, you should have something like this. So, alright, so I know that my project, the folder that I'm working with is on desktop. So I do cd desktop. Then after that I do cd Titanic. Okay, let me know. Alright, Titanic. So cd Titanic. Alright, so you have to be cautious of the lowercase. The case, it's case sensitive. So since the folder is capital T, start with capital T. Alright, so now I'm inside that folder right now. So the next thing I want to do is to do Git. But before you need to do that, you need to know that you have to first of all install Git. So if you don't have Git installed, you have to do sudo apt get install Git. So since I have Git installed, I don't have to run this. So once you click on enter, then it's gonna bring up a list of stuffs for you. Okay, let me just click enter. So it's gonna bring, okay, it says it's already installed. So alright, so we have that. So you have to clear. Now the next thing is I want to clone. I want to commit to that my repository. But before you can commit to your repository, you have to have that the things you want to commit. You have to have them in your like on your laptop. So the first thing you have to do is to clone. So the reason why we are doing this is, if you want to push to that repository, if the content to what you're trying to push and the contents you have on your local disk, if they do not correlate, like the previous content, if they do not correlate, then it's going to be a problem. Git will not behave, it will not push. So one thing you need to do is, the first thing is you have to clone. That is if you make changes on your GitHub page. But if you don't make changes on your GitHub page, you can go ahead to do all the Git whatever that you need to do. Alright, so but because we've made Git changes to our readme, we don't even have the file on our laptop, so we have to clone. So the first thing you want to do is to do what we call git clone. Or before we go on to that, let's set up our Git. So to set up your Git, you do git config global, then user email, and then you enter your email. So my own email is lashatofumi@gmail.com. Alright, so you press enter, then you also add your username, global user name, Then my username is Elisha2 for me, so I just append it this way. Alright, so and that's it. So the next thing I'll do is git clone. Then what you've pasted online, just what you've copied online, just paste it. So you have to be connected to the internet to do this. If you're not connected to the internet, you'll not be able to do this. Now once you've done this, this shows that yes, it has been cloned. So if you go into your folder right now, if you go into your Titanic folder right now, so if I go into my Titanic folder right now, alright, so folder right, so if you go into your Titanic folder, you should be seeing that there. Alright, I want to believe you guys are seeing it. Alright, so let's just move on, let's move on to terminal. So the next thing is to navigate into the folder. So just to show that yes, you actually have that folder there, you can just say ls, and then you see this over there. That's to show that yes, the folder is actually there. So the next thing is to navigate into that folder, because we want to work from that folder. Titanic classification. Alright, so now I'm inside the folder I just cloned from GitHub. So the next thing you want to do is to now do git init. So you initialize Git, and the reason why you are initializing Git is because you want to keep track of every changes. You want Git to keep track of every changes you make here. So every changes you make here must be a stage ahead of whatever you have on your GitHub. Like it has to be there. Alright, so since I just have a readme in my folder, if you check it, let's just do ls. All I have there is just a readme there. So let's add another file. Let's call it to create a new file, let's call it touch main.py. Right? Alright, so let me just go ahead and edit that file. So let me just go open all the documents. Alright, so desktop, Titanic, just go straight into that folder, click on the main.py. So this is the new main.py. So I'll just do okay, add some things into it. Import pandas as pd, import numpy as np, okay, def my name. Alright, so 1 2 3 4, return this, keyboard, this is Elisha. Alright, so we've added something. Then you can just do Ctrl S, and then that saves the file for you. So now let's go back to our terminal. Now we've updated the file. So what you just need to do is whatever you want to add, whatever you want to push to GitHub, just add it to that folder that you've cloned from GitHub. So once you add it, then you're good to go. Alright, so the next thing you want to do is to now do git. After git init, the next thing you want to do is git add. So you have to pay attention to this. So when you do this, there has to be git, then a space, then add, then a space, then a full stop. So once you do git add, you can now do, so to check what you're actually trying to add, let's just do git status. So once you do git status, it shows you the files you just want to push to GitHub that is ahead of what is actually in the repository. So this is basically telling us that you have a new file called main.py, and then it has some content in it. Do you understand me? Alright, so now the next thing you want to do is to now commit to GitHub. So how do you commit? So what you do is you type git commit, then m commit. So you can just say, like, the commit message I want to have is, okay, this is my first commit, right? Oh, maybe so, oh, maybe not. So once you do that, it shows that yes, you've actually committed. So if you do git status again, it's just going to tell you that, oh, you don't have any other thing you want to commit, because it has been moved onto stage. So all you just need is to now push to GitHub. So the next thing you want to do is to now push to GitHub. And how do you do that? You say git push u origin master. Then that pops up your username and password. So the reason why you're having a pop-up like this, you have to have internet to actually do this. So Git is trying to, okay, you're trying to push actually to your repository. Now, in order for you to be able to push to that repository, definitely you must have access to that repository. So because I created the repository, it's asking me what's the username of the creator. So okay, I am my username is Elisha. So for me, and what's my password? My password is, just type it, it's not going to show. Yeah, so press enter. If all the details you just entered are totally correct, then it's gonna show you all of this. So which means that you've successfully pushed to Git. Now let's go ahead and check. Let's go ahead and refresh to confirm that yes, this thing has actually pushed to Git. So once you refresh, you're gonna discover that yes, there's been a modification. Now I have the main.py. So you can add, instead of adding a main.py, you can add a lot of information. You can add folders, you can add scripts, you can add everything. Whatever you want to add, just add all of them, and then just do your git add, git push, just as we have in the terminal here. So just these are things you need to be conscious of. So you do your, so you start from your git add, then move on to git status. Now after that, do your git commit, add your commit message. Now if you actually go back to, you discover, look at it, this is my first commit. That's the message. And if you go back to this, you will see it there. So it tells me, okay, this is my first commit. So whatever you have here is gonna appear there, and you have to have internet to do all of that. Then after that, you have your username, your password. If everything is totally correct, then fine, you've successfully pushed on to GitHub. Alright, so I really want to appreciate everyone out there, that appreciate you for watching this. So if you actually love this, if this makes a lot of sense to you, I want you to go on to sharing this information with your friends, with your colleagues, or anyone that you know actually really needs this thing. So thank you very much for listening. Goodbye.